All right. We're like waiting for the 4 o'clock mark. I'll just like chat for a little bit while we're waiting for everybody to get on and to get this guy shared all over the place. I'll show you like my little kiddo right here. She's being grumpy today, but that's okay. Wiggles. Show everybody your pretty face. Hello. We're going to talk about soul archetypes and whatnot. She knows all about them. So she's just kind of a bystander and observer right here. But there's that. Alright. So I guess to start is, if you have not watched my video before this one that I did for the Spring Metaphysical Fair, go ahead and watch that before you watch this live stream, because I am not going to talk very much about like the actual soul archetypes and like what each of them mean, because I talked about it in that first video and because it took like the whole 45 minutes to do. So this video is kind of like numero 2 to find the like way we can work within the archetypes. And I'm trying to get everybody up on this. One sec. Trying to... Babe, will you share it and tag her in it? Alright, she's trying to fix that. So anyway, if you haven't watched that video, go ahead and you can go to my personal page, or you can go to my business page, which is at Tay the Lion Queen, and I've pinned that video to the top of my feed. So if you need a refresher, go ahead and go watch that before you start watching this, or go back and like figure out what I'm talking about in that one. But just to start, I'll intro you to archetypes and what they are. So if you want to just stay here with me. So basically what soul archetypes are the personified energies of our souls as greater things than us. So the way that I explain it is that we have Great Spirit, which is the all, which is God, which is like everything. And Great Spirit is everything, so it is also all these fractals. So it creates fractals off of the all. And in doing so, it creates these archetypes that I'm talking about. So archetypes are just personified energies. You can see them in the zodiac, you can see them as gods, you can see them as any kind of energy that is personified. So I like to refer to the Greek gods because they're the easiest to show to people and to explain because of their mythologies. So what I design the archetypes after is polytheistic gods, because polytheistic gods are archetypal energies, personified energies that we can see and relate to ourselves. So off of that, we have the archetypes, one step down from Great Spirit. And then we have us as souls. And what I believe souls are fragments of the spark of the all that have been siphoned through an energy that is what we are. So, for instance, if you haven't watched that video, you won't know, but I am an Artemis archetype. And so I am the goddess Artemis herself, because I am a divine being, just like most of us spiritual people believe, but I'm also Tay. So I started out as the divine being of Artemis, and by being incarnated physically onto the planet, I became Tay. And because of that, I get to enact my own fate, even though I'm based in the Artemis consciousness. So all archetypes really are energies in our baseline and our core personality that we always go back to. And again, if you're lost, please go back and watch that first video because I can't get into it because of time about all the archetypes. Moving on, so this video is about how to use the archetypes in regular life. Because I give readings, I help people, I tell them what they are, but we are archetypes living amongst other archetypes that are not like us. And we can't have all Artemises in our life. We can't have all Athenas in our life. And so what do we do when we're trying to interact in this world with other people and still have compassion? And why I wanted to do this video during this time is because everybody knows that 2020 is the worst year that we have ever had. And my thinking is that the biggest problem with this year is that people don't have compassion to see other people's beliefs or opinions or anything like that. And if we started to take a spiritual step back and say, well, they are not like me exactly, but I can see myself in them. I can see why they reacted that way. And being honest, if we're all human, we can all see the humanity in other people, and that humanity is that divine spark that we were all given. So, basically what this video is going to be about is harmonic resonance. So, what is harmonic resonance? It's something that I've really gotten into the past few months, and something that really rang some bells for me, and I want to share it with you, and I want to share it with you in the scope of the archetypes. So harmonic resonance is where as Lacan puts it, vibe meets vibe. So where we can vibe together, we can feel each other, and it's basically, if you picture two droplets of water, one comes from the Pacific Ocean, one comes from the Atlantic Ocean. They are the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean individually. They're completely different places. But if you put those two droplets of water from the ocean in a cup, it's just water. It's just two droplets of water creating more water together. And that is what harmonic resonance is. So the coolest example of this is our own sun and the star Sirius A. So in our solar system, our sun is called Sol. And our sun has been scientifically and astronomically proven that it gives off the same solar waves, solar radiation flares, and it pulses at the same rate as a much, much, much bigger sun, which is in the Sirius constellation. And what they have concluded is that our stars have harmonic resonance over thousands and thousands of light years apart. And in that, you can see that our sun and our world is reflecting the energy of a whole nother solar system, a whole nother planetary and stellar system that's out there. And things are happening at the same time. So what harmonic resonance is on a bodily scope, on an earthly scope, is basically tuning our bodies to match the colors of others. So on a social aspect, and if you know anything about my archetypes, you know that I'm an Artemis and my partner is an Apollo. We're the social aspect. On a social aspect, harmonic resonance is actually what we are seeking when we go into the big world, when we go out and we try to communicate with other people and communicate with other archetypes. And a lot of people try to find that harmonic resonance by changing themselves to match the colors of others instead of feeling the colors of others that match you. So, on the archetype stance, I haven't ever talked about the soulmate signs or like bringing signs together, but the first thing we need to know is that 4 pairs, so 8 of the archetypes, actually have a designated soulmate pair to them. So going down the archetypes as a refresher, we have Artemis, Apollo, Aphrodite, Athena, Demeter, Ares, Zeus, Hera, Persephone, Hephaestus, and Hermes. Those are the main ones. So, in the mythology, and we can derive this just from looking at their stories, we can derive it from watching 2 of these archetypes together, we see that there are pairs of soulmate signs that are always dragged together. So, for instance, and Artemis and Apollo. So Artemis and Apollo are the twins, so obviously they go together. It's the moon and the sun. We have harmonic resonance naturally. The next pair is a Hera and Zeus. So Hera and Zeus were married in the pantheon. You can see happening throughout life. They have, harmonic resonance together, and I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, Zeus and Hera pair together because Hera is power as well as Zeus, and they vibe off of the same kind of energies. Then we have Athena and Demeter, and they represent knowledge and wisdom. Then we have Aphrodite and Ares, and they represent peace and war, love and war. And then we have the outliers, is what I call them. And these are signs that don't have a divinely given mate. So you can see that Artemis and Apollo, Hera and Zeus, Demeter and Athena, and Aphrodite and Ares naturally pair up together, which is great. But there are 3 more signs that don't have natural pairs, and these are Persephone, Hephaestus, and Hermes. So thinking about this, we can see the natural harmonic resonance between a sun and a moon. So for instance, an Artemis and an Apollo have the harmonic resonance around social signs. We are both always looking for how other people are reacting and how family can be brought together. As a Zeus and a Hera, they are the powerful signs, so the king and queen. And so they are always looking for the order and structure and how they can create the world that they see. They are creators, they are rulers. Then we have Athena and Demeter. Athena and Demeter are wrapped around logic versus heart, logic, head versus the heart. And they can help people by guiding them. They're the teachers. They guide them towards the heart path, or they guide them towards the logical path. Then we have Aphrodite and Ares. Aphrodite, goddess of love, Ares, god of war. They are that divine masculine and divine feminine that we see in reoccurring paths on the planet. And that is the divine feminine and masculine. That's what we learn from them. So when you're one of the signs that is a soulmate sign, and anybody watching here, real fast, I want you to type out, if you know your sign or if you suspect it, type out really fast what one you want me to talk about the most, because for time on this video, I'm going to want people to kind of narrow it down for me a bit so that I can talk about one side and how they react to everybody else. So just really typey real fast what you want to see. So we see this harmonic resonance between the soulmate signs. Then we go to the outliers. So if you are an outlier sign, if you're a Persephone, a Hephaestus, or a Hermes, it means that you don't feel naturally that resonance with other people. So me as an Artemis, I automatically feel resonance with Apollos. I automatically feel resonance with Artemises. I don't automatically feel resonance with Athenas or Demeters or Zeuses or whatever. That is how the non-soulmate signs feel all the time, and they are always looking for someone to make them feel that connection with. So let's talk about Persephone, Hephaestus, and Hermes. These are the signs that are more individuated. When you know more about them, they're more the chaos signs. They're the ones that other people don't understand as much, especially Persephone. They are more the ones that kind of beat to their own drum and then lose it in front of others and nobody knows how to handle it. But that's kind of the point of this video, is we need to learn how to handle each other. We need to learn how to see other people. So I guess we'll go to Demeters. So Demeters are the most common sign that I read for at fairs, because it seems like Demeter women and men need the most help. They're the ones that ask for help the most. So if you recall, Demeters are the quintessential maternal mother. They're the green mother. They're Mother Earth. They're the kind of people that make you feel warm and loved and whole. And they are compassion. They're compassion incarnate. The dark side of the Demeter is that they are extremely passive and what I call the doormats. So when faced with conflict, they drop to the floor and just let people walk all over them. They don't let people basically let them be moved. So looking at a Demeter and let's say an Artemis like myself. So Artemises are very headstrong, they're courageous, they're confident, they are extremely strong-willed. They're very, very powerful women signs. So I have found that Demeters are drawn to Artemises and need from Artemises the strength that we show openly. So a Demeter and an Artemis harmonic resonance looks like a combination of the Artemis rooting the Demeter on to say no and to stand up for herself, as well as the Demeter coming at the Artemis saying, how about we have compassion for the weak? How about we show some vulnerability? How about we see it from the heart? And when you look at both of these signs are based in emotion. Artemises are extremely emotional. Demeters are extremely emotional in totally different ways. But when we can see that as the binding factor here, I can look at a Demeter and say, well, dang, they are love-based. I am love-based. Let's come together. So off of that point, let's look at all the emotional signs. So a Demeter and a Hera, for instance. Heras are the masculine mother. They are kind of like the queen Artemis. Artemises and Heras are almost the same. I've always said that Artemis is just the princess to Hera's queen. We're the step below. So in the same way that an Artemis would bind the strength of courage, of vulnerability in a Demeter, a Hera would find that same strength. And in that, Hera and Demeter can come together in that harmonious resonance of I love. And it's just that, I love. I love strongly. I love the people that I love for a reason, and I will protect them on my life. And Demeters do that, Heras do it. And Demeters and Heras are also signs that conflict a lot because Heras come about love by aggression and possession, and Demeters come about love by saying, how can I help you? How can I nurture you? And I just got a question, curious about how do I know what I am? If you want to know, really fast excerpt, if you want to know what you are, I do accept pictures to my personal message or to the Taylor Langping message, and I'll give you like exactly what sign you are for free. If you want a reading, of course, you can book one with me, but I will answer, like show you who you are. Also, if you go back and watch that video again and start to understand the signs more, you will be able to tell what you are. So just listen, and the first one that you think about other people is all about intuition. It's all about just seeing the divine spark in other people and explaining it like vocally by saying, okay, well, you act like a Hera because you are extremely strong, confident woman, but also a very maternal person, things like that. So, let's see, other emotional signs, Demeters and Aphrodites. So Aphrodite is another emotional sign. Aphrodites are the divine feminine. They're very, very passive. They're very dainty. They're kind of like the opposite of what I am as a human being. They are very soft, and Demeters and Aphrodites can link over that passivity. They can link and they can come together in a harmonic resonance over that. They don't like conflict. They don't like conflict. They avoid conflict at all costs. And sometimes you can see the dark side of that, where you can see that they'll just completely avoid each other, avoid conflict, avoid the situation. And the thing to do there is to say, passivity doesn't have to mean being walked on. If you saw that in someone else, then you would want to help them. And so if we as a people start to try to see that passivity and lift it up, then you can move more towards standing up for yourself, which is what these are both like doormat signs. They're very concentrated in non-conflict, and together they might actually be able to come out of it. So then let's look at Demeter and Persephone. So this one has all kinds of mythological problems. This one has, because Demeter is the mother of Persephone, but in all instances, Persephone is a goddess of cycles. And Demeter reflects that in cycles of being like that feminine mother, the moving, I will cook for you, clean for you, hold you while you're crying. And while Persephone's and Demeter's do not get along very well, because they are very, very similar, they can see that movement within each other as their strength, and they can move through life. They're very water sign-like. They can move through life by communicating in those cycles, because a lot of times the people who deter you the most, or like that you don't like the most, are the people that show you who you really are, and that's like the big thing there. So then let's look at the non-emotional signs. So Demeter versus Athena, which is the soulmate pair. So like my parents are Demeter and Athena, and I can see this like react in life. I can see the resonance together, but an Athena is an extremely logical and very mind-based person. They only want logic. They only want the truth. And Demeter is heart-based and loosey-goosey and wants people to love more and be more compassionate. And so they come together by saying, let's be both. And when you see Demeters and Athenas together, they become both. So then let's look at a Demeter and an Apollo. So Apollo is the opposite of an Artemis, and Apollos are the sun. They're the light bringers, and they are the sign that helps us see through the darkness. And Apollos and Demeters actually get along very well because they can see the light in others and they want to foster that. Now on the flip side, they can come together and they can be the fixers, which is never a good idea. I was raised by recovering alcoholics, so I know that you can't fix people. But they can turn that on like, oh, I need to fix everybody else and never fix myself. However, when you see these two signs come together, a lot of the time they come together by being better for each other. They remind each other what it means to be a caring sign. So then let's look at Demeters and Zeus's. Zeus is the father. He's the king. He's the all-powerful. He is the embodiment of patriarchal energy. And in a lot of ways, Zeus and Demeter can get along over that strong family values, strong protective and parental values, because Demeters are always looking for that. Then we have Demeter and Aries. So just as Artemis help Demeters feel the power within, the Aries can help you feel that power as well. So the Demeter and Aries signs can work together by the Aries saying, I am straightforward, I am a soldier, I am the push that Demeters need, and Demeters are that calming energy that can help with an Aries being too masculine and too forward. So, real fast, any questions on here, just pull them up on my screen and I'll answer them as I go. The most important thing here is to see yourself as an individual and to see yourself as one of these signs. And the second thing to do is to look at others and see signs within them. So my partner is an Apollo. And in that, an Artemis and Apollo work well together because, of course, we're the moon and the sun. But when you see non-partners come together, like my mother is an Athena, I don't understand anything about her. I don't understand why she does things, but I say that on the surface, because when you break down the way people do things, an Athena, for instance, does things logic-based. But when you know Athenas, you know that they are extremely, extremely emotional, which is why that they put on the logic side, which is why they push and they push away from the emotion. And it's the same way that Artemises push and they push for showing emotion because they were afraid of losing it. So coming together in that way. Now we need to talk about the major shifts in the world, and why this is so important right now is that we see all this political climate, we see everything happening around us, and all of it is based in misunderstanding. And a lot of the things that I found talking to other people who have differing views on certain things is that nobody really wants to listen to what the other one is saying if they start out saying something that is not in line with your values. So, for instance, my values revolve around family. They revolve around courage and taking action when you see something wrong with the world. And if I went to somebody who did not have family values, who didn't want a family, who was a very individuated kind of person, I would instantly turn my brain off to, oh, well, you don't get it. You're not a family person. But when we start to look at other people, that I'm an Artemis, of course I'm going to be family values. And if I look at Athena, they're not family values. They're trying to look for the greater world, the utilitarian. When we look at that, we need to recognize that everybody has their place. Everybody has a energy at which they are vibrating on, and they have a purpose. And their purpose might not be the same purpose as yours, but they are trying their best, and they are vibing on their truth. And as long as people are on their truth, as long as they are true to their sign, true to their energy, they can show that to you, and you get to take it as you want. So, back to the archetypes. There are 12 archetypes. They exist around us. We embody them. And the point of all of this is to see yourself as a divine being. It is to see yourself as somebody who has the power to change your world. Not everybody else's world, not the entire planet, but to change your world. And so, if you haven't watched that first video, message me, let me show you who you are, let me show you your archetype, and figure out your purpose. But even greater than that, you can find it within yourself, and you can find it within interacting with others. So if you know that somebody who is extremely logical gets on your nerves because you don't think that way, you don't feel that way, you want to see the emotional aspect of it, then take a step back and say, okay, well, they're logical, I'm emotional, how can we meet in the middle? How can we push for something that is harmonious instead of something that is, oh, you're wrong and I'm right? Because we're all right. We're all right, and we all have this energy that flows between us. And in doing so, if we continually look for that energy and look for that harmonious resonance, we can find that common ground, and we can find the kind of meeting factor in the middle. So, are there any questions on the 7 people watching this, before I turn this off, because I'm about, out of wind? Or does anybody, need to know more about a specific archetype? Do they feel like they are one, or, want to know more about anything like that? And I'll take a pause, look around. And again, we have Artemis, Apollo, Hera, Zeus, Athena, Demeter, Aphrodite, Ares, Persephone, Hephaestus, and Hermes. Alright, I'm not getting any, but if you have any questions, message me. I'll be doing readings for the fair for the rest of the weekend until tomorrow night. If you just want to send me a picture, go ahead and send me one, and we can chat about it. The next video is actually my partner, Lakin, and she's going to be doing one at 5 o'clock on spiritual nutrition, and it's going to be really interesting. It's about Armani Soul Holistic Company, so if you haven't seen anything there, just tune in, and I'll go answer some of these questions on Messenger.